we also came to the conclusion that we can't have individual iPhone applications. We're just going to have one upfront cost iPhone application.
Are we going to sell the app?
Yeah, it would be like $5, but then you have access to whatever we have in our user library, I guess you could say.
Okay, so then we have to have something where do we introduce the idea to the customers that they're going to need an iPhone app? Is that on the home page that just says get the iPhone app?
Well, yeah, just now it'd be like also available on the iPhone.
I feel like we're really discombobulated right now as to what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I hate to take us back, but that's kind of still where I'm at.
We're diverging way too far from the iPhone application, I think, and we're getting into a whole authorship customization platform with the iPhone as an afterthought. And
I mean, if we just
I'm not saying that there shouldn't be other elements to it, but I think it gets away from the core of the project.
Yeah, I think there's just kind of like two different approaches to it. Like I'm more of that mindset. Like the iPhone to me was kind of the sole touch point for this whole idea. The website exists just to kind of explain we have a company and here's kind of what we do in case somebody found us on the internet. But the iPhone app and the App Store was the touch point.
It should be through the app where people are navigating through stories to buy.
Right, right. And then the question is, how are those stories being generated? And I think
that's where we got into this.
And like I mean, there's only two ways about it. We go user-generated or self-generated. So we basically came to the point that it would be, I mean, this is what we talked about earlier. Right. The fact that it's much easier to actually do user-generated than self-generated because we don't want to have 1,000 people, like she had said, we all agreed on.
Decide to go get
to have that many people on staff creating storylines, doing
stuff. Like I talked about, you could outsource order being created to India or something. I mean, you really can. I'm not just saying that because everyone thinks outsourcing is a real popular thing, but I had a friend who outsourced a whole digital book about pedicure riding, basically. Oh, okay. Keep a certain amount of money, have that done.
Really big screen.
And it'll do too much on how we're going to generate content.
Again,
simply being marginally better, go home and do something else in your life because you will never you will go the way of Pounce, you will go the way of all the companies that start big and fail.
I've had a number of people tell me ExactTarget is not the best email marketing software application they've ever used. But they did some other things right, and that's what we can do.
It's not always about the best products, it's about best execution.
So what is exactly that's what I'm saying.
ExactTarget is good at, they are the best at it. They are not the best at the small business model. If you have a multi-tiered campaign strategy, there is nothing better. But and that is what they do better than
But where did they get their start? With the small business model?
No, it was never a small business model. Their whole revenue base is not appropriate for a small business.
When the company started, they weren't focusing on small business. I thought it all spawned out of Chris Baggett's dry cleaning thing.
But the revenue model, the pricing model is not appropriate for most small businesses. It is because it's a postage model.
Right.
Because you pay by the email. Well, what they do better than anyone else. They do you responded to email A, we're going to put you in category B. You didn't respond, so you go in category C, and nobody else does that the way they do.
But what I'm saying is, you act like they started there. They get all the time on that.
Who cares what they do?
Okay.
Here's what they do.
All right.
What do we need to do? I still don't think we can be the same book.
I think this process is too cumbersome to gain a critical mass of users. We need to get the application into people's hands, and how we generate content. I mean, it's not an afterthought, but there are ways to generate content. We need to focus on the application and getting something in people's hands that they want to use.
Is there anything here that's going in this outline that doesn't have to be in the app? The modified doesn't. Okay, so you take out that. So then you've got the preview the book, you've got read, write, and share reviews. You don't want any of that either in the app.
I think that those are important features, but it needs to be contained within the mobile application so people can make purchasing decisions when they have the phone in their hand. They don't want to go to their computer and make a decision or even go back to their phone's browser.
The reviews show up in the App Store.
Absolutely. Okay, so then going back to this outline, let's pull out what's not going to be appropriate for the app.
So basically, we just need a one-page website that says, go to the App Store, this is what we do.
I mean, I think creating your own would be appropriate for the app. I don't know if that's...
So I mean, literally, that's all we use, one page.
For the app, right.
That says, go to the application, and this is why you should go to the application.
You couldn't.
And then...
So what is Okay, what's going to differentiate us then?
And like
It goes back to the argument you had with your girlfriend last night. What's going to differentiate us from the dozen other iBook apps that are out there today?
And how do we keep people out of taking
the
our
thing
business?
is, we don't. We're not, especially for sending it out somewhere else.
That's why I think it should be
providing our own content or giving it to somebody else. And
But what? Okay,
it should be educational in nature. So say there's a difficult word for a child to learn, they can click on it and hear the wordplay.
How do we block
Or they need
we
to,
have to
they
create
need
the best
to
application, and basically that's what it's all based upon.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe the best educational application there is.
How are you going to create the best educational application there is? No, I'm not talking
No,
big.
yeah.
I'm talking very specific. If this is going to be our business, how are we going to do that? How are we going to create the best educational? What
I don't
skill
create
set?
educational videos. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming.
And we shouldn't do it. And we shouldn't do it.
If
That was
you're
the idea, that we don't.
If you're serious about this being a business, you have to answer the questions on the front end of how the hell are we going to do that?
I mean, if we want to look at Indy consulting or outsourcing it out there, let's look right now and see if we can outsource it. I mean, if that's viable.
I don't want to do that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if we
We're so far ahead of ourselves. I think
all we need to do is a proof
build
of
it.
concept. The
It's
story itself
iterations.
right now
You
doesn't
build an
matter.
iteration. You
We don't
learn
have
from what
to be
happened. You
authors.
build that.
We don't have to be the authors. I'm okay with that, but I'm just asking. And this is why we keep cycling back around. Is we have these ideas of things that we could do, but 3 hours into this, we haven't done any of it because we can't do these things.